Hello everybody, welcome back to the OS World Cup 2022. Still again, we're in the round of 32. We've had a bit of our break, good two-hour rest for our eyes and our ears. But now it's time to get back on with our next matchup. It is Indonesia versus Finland. Wow, this should be great. I'm really looking forward to this one. Both these teams have got some star players, and it should be an excellent matchup. Of course, joining me in for this epic one is Mavs once again. How are you doing, Mavs?
Doing pretty good. Glad to be back again for the second match. Second match of our OC World Cup 2022. And yeah, pretty good one, like you said. I think here, Indonesia versus Finland. We got seed number 10 being Indonesia going up against Finland, seed number 23. So, some pretty insane players on both of these rosters and star players as well. Standing out to me specifically, I think Finland coming into this OWC, I think with some unfortunate losses from their roster, if I recall correctly. But, they've still got a pretty solid core there. And when you've got players like Freeze and Anesthetic on your side, you got some pretty damn good players still going into this round of 32, and I think they've still got a pretty good chance to maybe get a few points here off of Indonesia. We'll have to see how this higher seeded team, being Indonesia, performs today, as is always the case on the easier pools,
Yeah, I think losing players like Sampo, more commonly referred to as Ataraxia, has been a major loss for Finland, but despite that, they've still got players like Zepe and Anesthetic who played last year. Of course, losing Hades as well is a big one for Finland. But again, they've still got Freeze, solid player, and this team is still pretty solid. They've got some excellent players to come in for fill slots. Tikkanen in particular is very good sort of aim-focused player. So expect to see him on, some of the no-mod ones or the hard rock ones. Definitely more mechanics focused. And some interesting players that we've still not seen a lot from yet. Jamin and Isaac in particular have not truly made their proper debut, only coming in for a couple of maps in the qualifiers. But again, some really good stuff from them. But of course, on the side of Indonesia, you've got the high seed. They are one of the top 10 seeds of the tournament, so you're expecting big things from these guys in the first round, and they've got the roster to prove it.
Yeah, roster on the side of Indonesia that I think many would be familiar with if you've watched 3WC, even some of these players in 4WC. Incredibly good players for their rank. Some of them, definitely some of them are underranked. And, if you've seen some of the stuff these guys can do, people like Ro, people like Ryuto, people like Dito, Rexy, some of these players in these other tournaments, 3WC, 4WC, putting up monstrous scores, monstrous performances, FCs on tiebreakers, things like this. This Indonesian roster is pretty damn scary. And it's why they've seeded in at number 10 in the World Cup. But like you said, we've got some pretty solid players on the side of Finland as well. I'm very excited to see Freezed in again this year, and because I believe he didn't play last year, but he did play the year before that. So he's come back, and very, very strong player, Finnish star. So it's great to see him in, and seeing some of his scores in this qualifier lobbies, seeing an SS on the no mod too. So yeah, pretty cracked, pretty damn cracked. So moving on to a round of 32 pool, I got no doubts that these guys they're pretty much not gonna have many issues on a pool like this.
Yeah, the typical thing with round of 32, especially for the low-seeded teams, is they got to watch out for, it's those picks that they know they're not strong on, but it's also the picks that they don't have a lot of data on. A lot of the maps that we saw, especially in the last matchup, in the France versus New Zealand match, we saw a lot of surprise picks that hadn't really been tested in the qualifier pool. that caught, New Zealand off guard, and I think a similar thing has the potential to happen here if Finland aren't careful with their picks. They've really got to pick into their strengths more than I think necessarily into stuff that Indonesia's not strong on because of the size of the pool, and the skill sets that are tested. It's much better to focus on your strengths rather than your opponent's weaknesses at this stage.
Absolutely, I'd agree. When you go from, an 11 map pool being in the qualifiers into, 9 map pool in qualifiers, tiny pool, and you move into, 15 maps in this round of 32. You've got some skill sets in here that weren't necessarily covered in that qualifier pool, just because the pool's not as big for, obvious reasons. And yeah, so it's going to leave some areas open where perhaps these teams won't have as much data on the other team, as you mentioned. But enough rambling about the team's qualifier performances and how they stack up against each other. We're actually getting right into the match, and it's going to be a hidden 2 pick straight out from Indonesia. Extremely good low AR hidden team, and it's no surprise to see them pick this one straight into Finland.
Yeah, they've got some dangerous players for this one, and it's understandable. The difficulty with this hidden 2 is, it's more in the aim-focused sections of this map. The streams itself, are tricky to read on sort of AR8, shouldn't pose any problems as long as players snap to them properly. The flow isn't too demanding, but it's the actual aim, or the snappy aim to the triples that tends to trip people up. Tripped up a lot of our playtesters on occasion. So that's the sort of difficulty that the players are going to face on this map. But to be honest, considering the difficulty of the qualifiers, most of these players shouldn't have too much of an issue if they were comfortably hitting some of those patterns in the qualifiers hidden 2.
Yeah, absolutely. And, I'm just looking at this hidden 2 score from Indonesia, over 3.1 million in their qualifier lobby. Finland, not even at that 2 million mark. So, it's obvious why they've gone for this pick. Straight up, Indonesia is one of the best low AR hidden teams in this tournament. Even at seed number 10, they are just absolutely insane at stuff like this. They've just got the players for it. So yeah, we are going to be getting into this hidden 2. I have Aeon, first pick for Indonesia, and our second World Cup match of the year. This is going to be a good one, I think. I'm a bit keen to see if anyone's going to trip up on these streams, because I know when you get into a match on a low AR8 hidden map, especially first map of the match, it can be so easy to just leave an angle of one of these turns on the streams just a note too soon and just miss the whole thing. So I'm curious to see who the first to fall to that will be.
Yeah, again, based on the qualifiers, Indonesia, one of the hidden powerhouses of this tournament outside of the top 4. So it is going to be a skill set they're going to be heavily relying on to bag them some early points in these rounds. But Rowe is going to run into a bit of an obstacle there, along with Isaac, as we have some early breaks. But a bit of a trade-up, so not too bad. Probably favours Indonesia slightly due to their better accuracy at the moment. But again, it's very minor. Only Desku really struggling on the accuracy side of things. Everyone else holding pretty solid so far, and you can see the streams themselves. They're not actually too difficult to hit once you get onto them, but it's the snapping onto them properly and avoiding those chain misses.
And everyone gets through those first set of streams. Impressive stuff from the entire lobby. Ryuto misses on a little bit of nothing right after that break, which is a bit unfortunate. Isaac going to be the first to chain miss a whole stream. There it goes. 3 FCs still to Finland's name, though. And this score is still going to be in their favor. Not with those act drops and that chain miss from Kadzaks. That's going to pull things over to Indonesia. Not super convincingly, though. The combo advantage is there as well as the act lead, so they will hold the lead.
Yeah, the recovery combo from Rowe is definitely going to help them out here. as well as Dito as well. Recovery, but it is still 2 full combos for Finland. We've still got Descu and Amacetic holding the line, so it's not going to be an easy pull for Indonesia. They could very quickly drop this. There goes the supporting combo from Ro. That is going to swing things the other way. Amacetic will drop it. That is massive for Indonesia. They have really done out well there with Fuma and Dito still holding. Descu can't really do much. Kazak's and Isaac's combo, it just isn't going to be enough to offset it. So the last quarter left, it's in Indonesia's favor.
Yeah, there's not much in it though, but with that chain miss from Kazak's, that is going to mean there is a lot in it, as this score now starting to fly over in the way of Indonesia. Everyone getting through these long streams. Isaac finds a break for Finland, Amacetic as well. It's just Descu still on the FC for them, but it's just not enough. He finds a miss at the end. It wouldn't have mattered regardless. Finland, they're going to be taking their first pick. First point of the match, Fuma closing it out with an FC for Indonesia.
Yeah, solid stuff on that first pick for Indonesia. You expect it. But it did look a little dicey. Finland putting up some very good scores. I think what's probably most surprising is some of the big accuracy drops we saw on some of those streams. We saw Hero drop to 90, just below 95%, as well as Amacetic. Those streams really hurt your accuracy if you chain miss or don't hit them perfectly. They can drop your accuracy so quickly and do so much damage to your score. But yeah, crazy stuff from that first pick. So we look back over to Finland now to choose their first map. And there is a couple of options open to them, but I'm not quite sure how they'll want to start this. Because anything they pick is going to be a big adjustment. They're going to go right into it, wasting no time. DT3.
Yeah, I mean, speaking of big adjustments, we go from our air raid hidden straight into the speed pick. Stamina speed pick, 240 BPM. Lots of bursts in here, lots of longer streams as well. Not as aim focused as a lot of the other maps in this pool, but very left-hand focused on a lot of these patterns in this map. Gonna see who can tap for longer, who can tap faster, who won't finger lock. We're gonna see Freeze coming into the lobby for Finland. That's what you like to see if you're a Finland fan.
Yeah, I don't see them changing much of their plan from the qualifiers. Which of course is comparable to the DT3 we had. Might be some very slight adjustments with 1 or 2 players, but overall you'd expect the same sorts of rosters to come in. Yeah, it looks like each team I think is just having one player swap out from their qualifier DT3, which it's a bit of a more gimmicky focus map, so it's understandable you might change your roster from more generic stuff. But yeah, let's see. I mean, Finland, they're a very strong double time team. They had great scores across all 3 of their DTs that pretty much outscale Indonesia. So you're expecting some good consistency from these players. But with the difficulty cap slightly less, there is a chance for Indonesia to take this if they're not careful. So let's see what Finland can do.
Absolutely, like you said, I think Finland 500k to over 1 million on some of these DT maps and qualifiers, so very, very strong pick for them, I think, and they're expected to take this one. We're going to see an early break from Dylan, but 7FC is still on the board regardless, in the favor of Finland, and everyone is holding relatively strong. I'd say that. Isaac, the first to drop for Finland. Dylan trades it back again, and things are going to stay relatively even as accuracies seem almost matched here. It's only about 10-15k difference, but that break from Zepe, that's going to be massive Indonesia now in the driver's seat, almost halfway through this map. And they are going to start to pull things over with a 3 FC to 2 FC lead.
Yeah, it's a big accuracy deficit as well. You know, Isaac dropping down to 96. Isn't bad, but compared to the Indonesia roster, their lowest is 97. We see a big break from Freeze there. That really is going to open the door for Indonesia here. Big stuff coming out from them as they still hold 3 FCs. It's just anesthetic for Finland as Zeppe finds another reset.
This has gone completely awry for Finland. Indonesia are just tearing this up. Triple FC on this one. And something I won't mention, but a triple FC and a huge supporting combo from Delon. Getting into the last quarter of this map, it is all but over for Finland on their first pick. Indonesia have just pulled something out of the bag on this one. Like you mentioned, these rounded 32 picks, you gotta be careful. Something you might think you're favored on paper. Maybe it's just easy enough. It's at that stage in the tournament where this other team can still play it. As you can see, very clearly they can play it, and Mindfrost can SS it. There it is, I didn't want to mention it. Takes home the SS for Indonesia.
That's a ridiculous team score. That's ridiculous.
What is that?
4.2 million. Good lord. Oh, wow. I mean, I don't even know how I begin to break that down. Let's give it a go. So, of course, Mindfrost ID with an SS on that map. Incredible stuff. No issues whatsoever. And yeah, just continual good stuff. 3 nearly 1.15 million team individual scores, as well as a good supporting recovery from Delon. I'm not sure that there was a million things Finland could really do there. Once they had that first break, Delon's was early enough that, to be honest, they were chasing from the moment they had their first break. And everything kind of just fell apart from there. That second break didn't seem to make that much of a difference because of just that massive team score from Indonesia.
That's going to be a punch in the gut for Finland, because you come out of qualifiers with beating Indonesia by like over 1 million points on the DT3, and you go for something that's decently similar for the most part, pretty similar to that DT3 in qualifiers, and Indonesia just 3-way FC it with a 730k to boot. Like, that's a 4.3 million team score almost. You got to be feeling good if you're on Indonesia right now. Like, morale is high after that break point, and they're going to be probably very confident going into their next pick now. Ooh, it's gonna be No Mod 4. Vita Crush Mole coming out. Yeah, I mean, Indonesia, pretty damn solid tech roster as well. They've always been known as a pretty good one. Tends to be similar pick strategies for them in other World Cup tournaments, 3WC, 4WC. They love their No Mod 4s. They're going to be bringing out this one in round of 32 of OWC. And it's a relatively streamy No Mod 4, as well as a lot of longer high velocity slider aim towards the latter half of the map. But a lot of the first half of this map going to be looking out for those breaks on these accelerating streams. Very easy to trip up on, especially with nerves. So just see how these players handle it.
Yeah, as well as the other thing to be careful with this No Mod 4 is there are some very tricky fast sliders in the second half that players do need to be careful of. They are quite deadly and will trip up any player with the miss potential there.
Definitely super easy to misread those they're almost like little cut patterns, but they're kick sliders. So yeah, very easy to misread those in the second half as well. Definitely expect to see a couple misses at least on those ones. But getting into our no mod for Indonesia's second pick after taking a break point against Finland. It's going to be Rexy's Dito, that noob guy in row, up against Isaac, Kadzax, Zepe, and German.
Yeah, so we kick this off. And again, Isaac with the first break alongside Zepe. Dito going to be finding a miss. It's sort of kind of the same players, unfortunately, that are finding these misses early on in these maps, but it's the recovery that can really do some damage. Isaac with the second break there. A bit more significant triple break there. Zepe, Row, and Rexy's Dito as well. And that noob guy gone. Big advantage for Finland here.
This is, I mean, Indonesia's falling apart on these accelerating streams. They've just misaimed them all. Like, all of their players have found at least one break on these accelerating streams, and that means a double FC for Finland now. And if they're able to hit this part, no, German finds a miss right before. A lot of free combo coming up, so Finland aren't out of the woods yet with that break from German. They've just got the 1 FC from Kadzax and a bit of supporting combo from Zepe, but yeah, that is not where you want to break your combo. Right before this free combo section, there is a lot here.
Yeah, Isaac going to be finding a reset as well, so with this free combo, if Zepe drops, Indonesia are going to really pull ahead here in this section. And yeah, it's just, I'm looking at players like Dito and that noob guy to really build their combos back up with the free section. Of course, Kadzax is going to be able to hold them off, and it's Zepe building up. There goes Dito. That's huge. Row as well. Also going to be finding miss. Jamin will drop, but again, the damage is still being held by Zepe and Kadzax, who are doing the work here for Finland, holding them in. There's starting to be very little of this map left.
And now we're into the high velocity sliders. Here we go. Kadzax holding onto that FC. Zepe finds a drop for Finland, but it's all Kadzax right now. All eyes on him. As he pulls Finland over 500k into the lead, he finally finds a miss at the end of this map, but he's done more than enough for the Finnish squad. And Indonesia unable to take their second pick. Dito did all he could in the ending there, hitting the whole thing. But Kadzax and Zepe putting up some great performances there. I mean, Kadzax, man, almost FCing that with 98%.
Solid
stuff.
Play. Yeah, that is a tough map. Definitely probably one of the toughest maps we've seen in this qualifier pool. Or sorry, in this round of 32 pool, excuse me. But it is a bit comparable to the qualifier pool in sort of in terms of difficulty. A lot of people struggling to pull through full combos on that. But it's a good enough performance for Finland. It puts them on the board. Keeps them tied up with Indonesia to start this off.
Yeah, I think Indonesia's probably not going to be too happy with that performance. Definitely an underperformance from them on the No Mod 4, but I mean, credit to Finland for, kind of stepping up to the plate. Kadzax especially. They got a huge score, very much needed for them. And I mean, Indonesia, they had their shining moment on that DT3, pulling out that three-way, and it was Finland's turn to come straight back with it. So you move on, and we now move on to Finland's second pick. Chance here to equalize, to make things 2-2, and it's going to be the DT2. This map is very different from our qualifiers DT2. So anything you see about the results from these teams on that DT2 and qualifiers, throw it out the window, because this is completely different. This is very low BPM, kind of spaced ult patterns and streams. A little bit snappy in some sections, but for the most part, very flow heavy. DT2, very gimmicky and very difficult to act as well. I was surprised at how difficult this map was to actually act. So hard to hold a combo as well. So many of these sliders in this map, weird reverse sliders that you can so easily slider break on.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at this. I'm a bit surprised, to be honest, that Finland wanted to jump straight back in with this DT2. That DT3 did not go to plan, but they're not perturbed by that fact. They're just going to charge straight forward with this play, and it is understandable why they did, have considerably better scores across the DTs, like we mentioned before. So it is their area of strength, but it'll also give them the opportunity to just shake away those nerves and level the score, hopefully.
What a map to do it on too. I think, this is a type of map where nerves can really get to you with the small, the CS6, small circles and some of these weird reverse sliders. It's so easy to just miss a single tick or miss the head of that reverse slider and find combo drops. That's early on, ticking in. First to drop for Finland.
Yeah, jamming going to be finding a miss as well. And with that, already Finland not off to the best of starts. It's not a terribly long map, this one, so you really feel every break as Jamin also finds a second break, but Indonesia holding strong again. It's looking dangerous if this trend continues. Anesthetic and Dito are going to be tripped up.
Yeah, Dito and Anesthetic trade. I mean, yeah, this is kind of scary. This is the kind of map that Indonesia is pretty damn good at, man, even though it's DT. So, scary pick from Finland, but they're doing all that they can. Indonesia holding onto a strong three-way. Dito going to be trying to recover now as we're halfway through the map. They is hitting all of these flow patterns. Dito with another break, but that's not the one that matters for Indonesia, so they're still going to be sitting quite comfortably. Was that anesthetic right before the break?
Yeah. Right into the break, so he's got no combo. I mean, look at the score difference already. 400,000 points with a quarter of the map left. I mean, this is going to have to just implode for Indonesia here for Finland to have a chance. I mean, there goes Rowe. That's one, but it's still not going to be enough with less than a quarter of a map to go. Yeah.
Ooh. Yeah. Reading section. Catching a couple players off on the side of Finland. Indonesia just looking so good, man. Rowe found a break there, dropping his FC, but they've still got two. And Finland don't have a single one. Indonesia with another break point. And man, this is just this match is 3 break points so far. What's going on?
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. It's going the way of Indonesia at the moment, because I think Finland maybe they just don't think they've got strong enough picks in other sections, but it feels like they're a bit fixed at the moment with the double time, and that's 2 losses on double time now that Indonesia have just let them pick into. I think they need to stay away from the sort of speed maps and try and focus more on mechanics. They've got some strong mechanical players who can pull up some big scores, and I think that's what they need right now. Especially going into the next pick, which could end up being their last. Looking at the score from Indonesia, they've had some mixed picks, but their last one in particular was very strong for them.
It could be their last, Dimash, or we could see another break point.
We definitely could. Until we know what Indonesia's picking, it's too hard to say.
The pace that this match is going, we're going to see break points through to the finish line, I reckon.
I mean, that is what, 3 breakpoints in a row now that we've had.
I think so. Yeah, yeah. The first pick was hidden 2 by Indonesia, which was they took, and yeah, everything else has been a breakpoint so far. So it's on Finland to keep the trend, and I'm curious what Indonesia's actually going to pick here. You know, hidden 1 is maybe an option just because of their hidden performances overall, and yeah, it actually is going to be hidden 1 straight out from Indonesia. There it is. Paradigm 4210.
So hidden 1. If you're not sure of this sort of map, it's a very aim-focused hidden map. You know, a lot of jumps at 188 BPM. Should feel relatively comfortable for anybody who uses hidden in general. Quite comfortable, but it does have its tricky sections, particularly in the middle. There's a lot of difficulty built up around that area, and of course, being right in the middle of the map makes it even more dangerous because of how dangerous Score V2 is. In that, you know, if you miss right dead center of the middle of the map, you're very much score capped for the rest of it, which could be to the detriment of your team. So definitely want to put in the players that can manage that skill jump with no real issue. But the rest of the map is fairly comfortable, to be honest. Shouldn't really pose any problems.
Yeah, absolutely. Unless you're someone who doesn't like hidden and doesn't play hidden, which, you know, in that case, I don't see why they would be in the lobby right now on 2 rosters that are as good as this. But yeah, most of the map, like you said, pretty comfortable for anyone who has dabbled in a little bit of hidden. I think maybe the only thing to catch them off would be a couple of the streams. Other than that middle section, like you mentioned, it's a bit techy, and that's where it really starts to test, you know, who is good at reading hidden. And we're going to see that probably come into play quite largely if we see a lot of full combos held up to that point. I am going to guess that we're probably going to see a lot drop.
Yeah, we will have to see. Indonesia, though, in a very strong position right now, 3 points to 1 up against Finland, who are hoping to strike back with a breakpoint of their own after dropping that second DT map. But let's see what they are capable of on this very calm intro into what is a very nice map, to be honest. A very nice song. Very enjoyable.
Good song, good map. Pretty fun to play all around, yeah. Love this one. Everyone getting through those intro patterns, no problems. No one getting tripped up on the stream early on. Sometimes can be a bit of an issue when you move into hidden, you know. You haven't adapted to that AR yet on the hidden. You just butcher the whole stream, but everyone not having any issues early on. We've still got an 8-way. First quarter of this map. Everyone hitting these weird kind of flowy snap patterns, little hexagons almost.
Yeah, it essentially boils down to an accuracy battle at this stage. But that it doesn't actually shake things up at all. It just keeps everything where it was, because those breaks were pretty much identical. Rito and Isaac, so we're still looking for that decisive break to flip this, and that might be it from Dito there. Big break, and Rowe as well. I didn't even notice that was a double break.
Rowe, right? Oh my god!
Yeah, his combo went at the same time Dito's did, and Amacetic's gone now as well. So is Isaac, but that's not a big combo. But it is 1 full combo to 2 as Fuma drops his.
Oh yeah. This difficult section of the map going to be tripping up Fuma, who drops some much needed FC for Indonesia. Amacetic breaks again, but that one doesn't matter. Kadzax and Dedzku both get through it. Double FC for Finland into the latter half of this map. And I dare say that should be enough to pull them over the line if these players can hold on just for a little bit longer.
Yeah, they're really in a strong position here. Indonesia's kind of just holding in there because of all of their combos being around the same level. But a break from Fuma and Isaac there. Again, it's not a big combo for Finland. They have Dedzku and Kadzax to hold them into it, but Ryuta dropping a massive amount of accuracy there. with a break from Fuma, I don't see a way for Indonesia back into this one.
Oh man, this is a performance from Desko and Kadax. Doing all they can for Team Finland and showing up on the hidden one. Not an easy map to FC ever. These longer, kind of consistency-focused maps, never easy to FC in tournament match. And they both hit the accelerating streams. Anesthetic, the only one to break on it. How is everyone hitting that today? Man, I'm so surprised to not see more breaks on that.
Yeah, I swear, literally, Anesthetic is the only one to have broken so far on that map. So, very good stuff. But yes, Finland will carry on the trend with another break point here and a pretty overall decent team score. Just pushing over the 3 million barrier, but it is a rough pick for Indonesia there. No one's having any good time with their picks at the moment, are they?
No. 4 times in a row, apparently. We've had almost every single map in this match so far be breakpointed. And not just be breakpointed, but be breakpointed by considerable margins each time. So I don't know what is going on, but we're going to have to see if Finland can break the cycle. And if you're hoping for a close match, and you definitely want them to, this is a chance for them to take it to 3-3. They need to try and figure something out here. DT hasn't been working. What can we pick to maybe catch Indonesia off guard, pick something into them where, you know, maybe go into their weakness. Maybe that's an idea for Finland, but we'll have to see what they're thinking about.
Again, it's just, you've got to look at what's been working for Finland. It's been those aim-focused picks that they've been able to pick up. You know, it's not been the speed that's kept them in this. You know, they won on the sort of technical mechanical no mod 4, and then they won on hidden 1. So those are the areas I'd be looking to try and focus on. So no mod 1 is always an option. There is also some free mod. Hard Rock 1 in particular is quite focused on the technical aspect. So again, that could be a strong pick if they're feeling confident on Hard Rock. Those are the maps I'd be looking at. Something from Hard Rock or no mod 1. But they're going to ignore me. Go free mod 1.
Yeah, it is going to be free mod 1, but I was liking what you were saying about that Hard Rock 1 maybe being an option. Just because the 2 points they've taken have been on more kind of techier maps. I mean, maybe it's a little bit of a stretch to call Hidden 1 a techier map, but just because of that middle section specifically, and of course the no mod 4 breakpoint. So yeah, I mean, Hard Rock 1 is an option, and perhaps it just wasn't picked because of the overall comfort on Hard Rock. You know, not being something that Finland are really favoring. So it's going to be free mod 1. And yeah, this is a pivot. I think they needed to pivot to something different, and they've done it. They've gone for free mod 1. It is aim to an extent, pretty similar aim to the hidden 1, albeit a little more awkward. But yeah, I mean, I think overall, I don't think this is a bad pick.
Yeah, I mean, if they've got a plan, it must be to just try and, I can only think it's to just try and isolate the picks that are left. But again, every pick going forward, and I mean, there isn't a lot left, but every pick going forward of these last 2 that they've got are going to be, in some essence, risky. They can't afford another breakpoint from Indonesia, because that just opens the door up too much. They need to hold this point. Try and put a bit of pressure on Indonesia here. But again, it's whether they can do it on this map. I honestly do not know if this is their map or not. I think it's too up in the air for me to make a call on this one.
I am a bit concerned to not see Freeze in the lobby right now, to be honest. This seems like the type of thing that would be his bread and butter on Hard Rock, but it doesn't seem like he's going to be coming in for Finland.
I mean,
so
they've got
maybe
Zeppe.
That's a good sign. Yeah.
Yeah, they'll have Zeppe on the Hard Rock probably.
Yeah, it means they've got someone who feels more comfortable than Freezed, which is, I mean,
mobs.
that's a statement in itself. And I mean, apparently they've got 3 players that feel more comfortable than Freezed on the Hard Rock, because it's going to be Jamin, Desku, and Zepe. They're going to be taking a triple Hard Rock. Desku taking a hidden with it, and Kadzax on that hidden only. For Indonesia, we've got a slight bit of overmod, but it's only going to be Mindfrost on the Hard Rock, Rexys and Ryuto on the hidden, and Noob Guy on the no mod. So big mod advantage for Finland.
And again, just to explain the free mod for those of you who may not be aware, there are requirements on which mods you have to take. We have to have at least one hidden. In this case, Rexys and Kadzax would fill that requirement, and then we must have at least one Hard Rock and hidden Hard Rock, which of course has been met, if you can see. But it's interesting. So Kadzax is going to be the first to drop here. He'll be dropping off that hidden. And of course, every other mod is optional. So Finland with the overmodding strategy, whether it will work to their advantage, still to be decided. But at the moment, it's not been the best of starts. They will keep it close because they will have the multiplier advantage. Zepe going to be finding a drop on the Hard Rock.
Yeah, and I mean, their multiplier advantage was keeping it pretty close, but that break from Zepe is going to put things comfortably in the favor of Indonesia now. Continue to hold this 4-way through this first KI. Will any of them succumb to these weird overlaps, especially these hidden players? No. Doesn't seem so far. Some of these overlaps can trip you up. You can think you might have to go back, but it's actually just like a perfect stack. And everyone getting through it. Wow.
Dangerous part of the map right here. You can see the intensity build up, but so far everyone is trying to recover the best they can on the side of Finland, but Indonesia just storming ahead.
Everyone's holding Damage.
I know, they're just holding the line. Streams, maybe it catches somebody out. No, it doesn't. They hold into the last quarter. This could be incredible from Indonesia if they hold all the way into this last section.
Oh no, what is this performance from Indonesia so far, man? And Finland are going crazy too, but what do you do against a 4-way right now? Desku finds a break for Finland, and that will all but seal it, I'm almost certain.
Yeah, there was catching up before, but there isn't any now. And that is ridiculous from Indonesia. They're still going with 4 FCs.
Someone break, please.
It's jamming.
Please,
it's not.
Someone break.
It's not from Indonesia.
Oh no way! They just 4-wayed it, man. What?
That's their second 4 million team score in this matchup. That is insane.
And on another break point, Damage. Why? What is that? A 4 million team score on a non-DT map, dude. A non-DT map, they're going to pull in over 4 million. That's ridiculous. What is that performance? 3 of their players are over 99%. Rexy's the only one falling under that 99 on the hidden. Wow, that has to be the top score on that map for the week. I would be shocked to see anyone take away that top spot from Indonesia on that map.
Well,
and the break point.
Yeah, I think it's crazy because, like, it's not that, it's not like everyone was taking a mod and they FC'd and it's like, oh, well, that's understandable. It's like, it was just enough to put them over the 4 million. But I mean, that is ridiculous. I think 3 of them had perfects. And then you had Rexys who dropped a couple of slider ends, but still more than good enough for this one. But that's just insane. They only had 3 mods out of the potential 4 that they could have had for the multiplier, so they were at a disadvantage. But I mean, 3.2 million is nothing to sneeze at either.
Yeah.
On this, like, imagine saying to someone that 3.2 million is a losing score. That just shows the level of ability in this matchup.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, like you said, Finland, nothing to scoff at on that. 3.2 mil. It wasn't even a bad pick. Like, it was a good pick. I think that 3.2 mil, that's probably going to be a majority of teams in this tournament on that free mod 1. Like, that was a pretty damn good score, pretty good team performance. It was a really good team performance, but Indonesia just kind of turning it up another level. And they're gonna take another breakpoint for our 5th breakpoint in a row. 5 out of 6 points so far. See if Finland can continue the tradition on this Indonesia pick, and it's gonna be DT1, which, I mean, this makes sense after how the other 2 DTs panned out.
Yeah, if you've been watching so far, you'll know that Finland dropped both of the DT maps to Indonesia in this matchup, and yeah, you're right, Finland now to step up to the plate. Can't afford another loss, and they have to break here. But I mean, both of their points have come from break points, so it's not that I doubt that they can do it, but it is on the DT. They have not won a DT map yet, despite being the favorites on it. So they're gonna have to pull out something pretty special on this one. But again, they're still the favorites on this, based on qualifier results, based on a lot of things. You know, you've got Kazakhs, who was really strong on DT1 in qualifiers. Freezed, you'd expect to come in for DT1. Those are some of the key players here that I think we need to see pop off on this map to battle a really strong Indonesian roster. You know, Fuma's definitely going to be in for this one. That noob guy as well, I'm expecting big things from on this one. So you've got a couple of players on both teams that, you know, if depending on who has the better run, could decide the match or keep us going.
Is Freeze not here? Have we seen him in for a map this match?
Yeah.
We have? Okay.
I could have sworn we have.
Like, I'm just surprised not to see him in here for this DT1, like you said.
He did. He played DT3.
Okay, yeah. Potentially not feeling great today. I'm not too sure. But yeah, not going to be coming in again. That's 2 maps in a row I just expected to see him in, but... Plus, it's going to be German, Kazakhs, Zepe, and Desku. I think the same roster from the free mod 1, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong about that. Side of Indonesia, Ryuto, Rexys, Ro, and that noob guy be coming in for this DT1 pick from Indonesia, and their chance to close out the match in a 5-2 fashion. But with the way this match is going so far, we're going to have to see if we can get our 6th breakpoint in a row, courtesy of Finland.
Yeah, it's on for them to carry on the trend. And there's no better time than to do it right now on the final DT map. I was going to say the final pick, but that's potentially not accurate. Jamin will find the first break. But don't worry too bad, because Ro's going to come in, but Desku will also find a miss as well. And that's going to flip it back to how we were when Jamin broke, which is in favour of Indonesia right now. First quarter of the map out of the way. Indonesia lead.
270 BPM DT1, by the way. It's a very high BPM DT1. But it makes sense with Stadium Pool. BPMs on those DTs, but yeah, we'll be seeing some crazy high accuracies from a lot of these players in this lobby. Indonesia looking very, very strong so far. 100k lead and climbing now with that FC lead. 3 FCs to 2. Big recoveries coming through from Desku, Jamin, and Ro, but yes, FC's holding strong for Indonesia, is keeping them in the lead, and it is giving them a score advantage as we get over halfway through the map now and into the next KI. Everyone looking solid, looking comfortable.
Yeah, and I think the problem is that Indonesia's they've just settled into a rhythm now, as Jamin will find another reset, and that is really bad, along with Zepe and Kazakhs. I mean, it's just What? I mean, Red X. Oh wait, hang on. Hang on.
Speed map. What was that? I saw two quints and a 270 BPM map.
That too much happened too quickly there, but it's Ryuto and Desku holding on. But unfortunately, that still favors Indonesia, as it was Finland to break first. But
and Ryuto close it out for Indonesia. Desku doing all that he can for Finland with this almost 1k combo, but it's more than enough from Indonesia. Ryuto, all on him to close it out with the FC. Can he do it? I don't care if I curse him. He does it. Let's go. He gets the FC for Indonesia, and they're going to close the match out 5-2 after finally breaking the breakpoint curse.
Well, there you go. They finally do it. They did it at the start, and they did it at the end. But it was enough to pull them over the finish line. Definitely not as cleanly as they would have liked. Not actually... Well, actually winning more breakpoints, I think, than they actually won of their own picks. But that's the way it goes sometimes. But they've done enough. Commiserations to Finland. They had a very, very good attempt at Indonesia. But again, top 10 team, just a little bit too strong for them this time around. So there are your winners, Indonesia, with a very good match.
Yeah, it was a great match. I think a lot of people are going to be happy with that result. I have a feeling a lot of people had something along the lines of a 5-2 pick'em, so we'll have to see how people are feeling about that result. 5-2 though for Indonesia. Congratulations and best of luck to them moving on in the winners bracket, and best of luck to Finland, of course, moving on in that lower bracket. Not out of the tournament just yet, and would have been curious to maybe see the outcome of that match if. I believe Freezed was not on his own setup, and that may have been why we didn't see him in for a couple maps. We expected him to be in for, so... You know,
unfortunate timing, isn't it, sometimes?
Yeah.
But, yes, so we come to the end of that match. We do have another one scheduled, though. It is Japan versus Singapore. I mean, what a great matchup. Well, this should just be amazing. I'm really, really looking forward to seeing what these two teams will bring us. But it does mean that we will be saying goodbye to Mavs.
Yes. Thank you all. Thank you all for having me here. It's been enjoyable casting alongside you, Dimash, these last two matches. I'll be handing things off to an incredible caster that I'm sure you will enjoy very much casting alongside with. So yeah. Enjoy the Japan-Singapore matchup.
Yes, and that there he is, sneaking in a little early. But yes, that Japan versus Singapore match will be starting in the next 6 to 7 minutes, so don't go anywhere. We'll be back. Hello everybody! I hope you enjoyed that quick and short interval. We are back with what should be, on paper, the most exciting match, or one of the closest matches of the round of 32. It is Japan versus Singapore. Should be an excellent contest. Seed number 16 versus seed number 17. It's the sort of matchup you dream of. Of course, joining me on for this epic matchup is the ever so lovely, ever so wonderful, it's Kano. Hi, Kano.
Hey there, Dimash. It's great to be back. And on top of that, we've got such a great match ahead of us. We've got the 2 middle seeds, like smack bang right down the middle. So we're going to have probably one of the closest matches of this round, which, that's going to be exciting. And these two teams, they are very, very strong. I mean, we've seen some pretty impressive performances from them in the qualifier stages, and I'm really, really looking forward to this overall.
Yeah, I think we've got some great potential on this one, and some interesting sort of statistics from the qualifiers. It really is a bit back and forth with these teams, with some close matchups and some not so close matchups. But just to sort of give you an idea on some of these teams, we've got the 17th seed Singapore, with just a fantastic performance and a fantastic team as well. Coming into this, you've got Megumik, the captain, who has performed amazingly in qualifiers, playing everything that they could, as well as some good supporting members. The Monocle as well is someone to watch, a really, really strong player as well. Can't forget GS Blank, who again is always on top form, as well as some other players that you might not have seen yet. Tebi in particular is someone that I think who didn't actually play qualifiers for Singapore, so you've got a bit of an interesting potential to shake things up a little bit.
And on the other side as well, you've got Japan with Invoker being the captain this time around, and we haven't really seen too much from them in the qualifier stages, but overall they performed really well on what they did play in these matches. You've got Tichi as well coming in, which is one of the new additions, and pretty much playing everything, just like the underdog, but coming in just absolutely dominating on pretty much every map that they played. You've got some of the old returning players such as L4+1, pretty much playing a lot of the stuff in qualifiers. You're bound to see some of these players coming in for special things, and then you're going to see a few people playing like a vast majority of maps. You've got Aotaline as well coming in for some of the specific picks, especially Nomad 4s and things like that. Vento as well is another one that you'll see on quite a lot of maps. Dectopia stepping in as well for a lot of the hidden picks. Kinikon's another one that you're also going to see on a vast majority of things. And you've also got Yama Darkness as well, stepping in for a strong DT roster.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing. I think this Japanese DT roster, I mean, they're up against a ridiculous roster from Singapore. But again, they do. Both of these teams have got some very good scores, especially across things like DT1 and different things. I want to quickly go into the bans real quick because they are a bit interesting. So we had Nomad 2 banned out by Singapore and DT3 banned out by Japan. bit of an interesting ban there. I can understand the ban from Japan on the DT, but I'm a bit surprised with the No Mod 2 ban, because it looks like both teams kind of struggle with that. So I would have looked at that as a potential map to leave open, especially with how much different it is from the qualifiers.
Yeah, I mean, when it comes to maps like that, you definitely can see those ones being left open sometimes, especially, if you have very close results from qualifiers and such. But sometimes, if you're just not feeling confident on it, you never know. Like, you might just want to go for the ban just to be on the absolute safe side. And not only that, but there's a lot of things that these two teams can pick from. So I think a lot of the time you kind of just want to go for your comfort picks as well. And maybe in this case, No Mod 2 might not be a comfort pick for them, as well as the DT3.
Yeah, and I think looking at this first map, we've got the No Mod 3. Probably not been. I don't think it's actually been picked thus far. So we've got a little bit to talk about. It's actually a very sort of comfortable No Mod 3. The changing in spacing, as well as the directional changes that you see with the circles here. They're just very comfortable. There aren't really any sort of sharp jumps or angles to really throw players off. It's more about consistency on ult, patterning and tapping than anything else. That players they've just got to be on point with, really. And a bit of high accuracy wouldn't go amiss either, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. I was reviewing this map earlier, and it definitely seems that consistency is going to be the huge factor in this one. I mean, it's quite a long map. You've got a 4-minute map coming in, and as you mentioned, it's pretty consistent throughout the entire thing. A lot of it obviously just involves having some, relatively top-notch cursor control, and there's like a few little like flow patterns, some snap patterns, and things like that. There might be a few things here and there that might trip up a couple of players. Like I've seen a couple of like sort of kick slider sections in amongst these like snap patterns as well, but outside of that, that's pretty much just going to come down to whether or not you can hold your combo throughout the majority of this. But, since it's such a long map, like a couple of early misses here and there aren't going to be too detrimental, but the longer that you hold your combo for is going to be the more important factor here. And we have actually seen an early miss coming out from Demonico and Aotaline as well. So misses on both sides. Pretty even across the board.
Yeah, it does keep things relatively close, but I think Atheline had a bit of a later break, so it's going to kind of affect things, but they do have good accuracy. Oh dear, Dectopia and Atheline both finding breaks early on. This is not something I expected to see from Japan to start this out. Also, it is interesting to note that I think Dectopia is using Tabex playstyle.
Oh yeah, I was going to say, like, the Tapex playstyle coming in here, you're seeing the mouse clicks on the purple there. That is quite impressive for a map like this. Same for Aotaline as well.
Oh yeah, I didn't even notice Aotaline as well, yeah.
That's a very, very interesting playstyle for a map like this. I mean, this map is very tricky, like, to alternate with 2 fingers, let alone, going down the Tapex route.
Yeah, 2 different hands.
Exactly.
We did see a break from Megamic there, which looked like it was going to open things up, but unfortunately the recovery from Demonical is still holding the lead for Singapore here. But it is a lot closer now, especially with Dectopia and Atheline sort of building those combos back up. It's starting to look still dangerous for both sides here as we get into the halfway point of the map. The real crunch time here. Don't want to see any breaks from either side if it can be helped at all.
Yeah, and the thing about this map as well is that with Demonico and Megamic actually finding breaks there, that's going to be really bad for Singapore. Probably taking this one back in Japan's favor, but L4+1 does find a break as well. They're just trading misses at this point.
They really are, but that's still going to favor Japan slightly, though, with the recovery from Dectopia and Atheline. They will have the combo advantage against those two FCs. So they're probably going to be able to flip this, I reckon. As long as they keep it. And the Dawnwing break, that's going to seal it and flip it over straight away.
Yeah, you're going to see that lead go back into Japan's favor very, very quickly with that break from Dawnwing. Eagle is holding on for dear life, but Teachy is just going on strong with Ethylene and Dectopia holding up with those supporting combos. This is a lot for Japan right now. We're going to have to see quite a few breaks coming in from them, especially from those higher combos, in order for any form of comeback. But by the looks of things, with how long this map is, it is looking pretty grim right now. Dectopia does find a miss. Is it going to be enough though? They need to see Ateline and Teachy break, and Eagle needs to hold on through all of this. L4+1 finds another break.
So we're looking at about 90,000 points that they've got to make up the difference of. I'm trying to look for the bigger combos. Yeah, it's going to need to be a break probably from Ateline, I think, to give them the room they need, but I don't know if I see it happening. Teachy and Eagle basically just cancelling each other out, but Ateline's 1200 combo pretty much cancels out Demonical and Megamix simultaneously. But there goes Ateline. Is there enough time?
I think that combo was definitely enough. That supporting combo there was enough. Oh, Teachy with the break though. This could actually swing back in their favor right at the very end. It's getting so close. That lead is closing in fast.
Oh, is it going to go? It does.
It is going back to Singapore. Oh my goodness. Those breaks right at the end. That was unbelievable. That timing from Japan. They needed to hold on just that little bit longer. But they had Eagle just going so strong, getting that full combo with 99.41%. Demonical and a few others managing to get those supporting combos just enough to bring them back. A few chain misses from Japan right at the end there as well. Also just sending it right back at the very end. That was unbelievably close.
It was such a pull. It was almost like a fairy tale. Japan, they'd had those early breaks to start things off and put them behind, but they made up the difference and they were looking to take the point, and it was the last few seconds. It literally had to be then. You know, you're talking 23,000 points if Teachy had held on, 10 more combo. And it might have been enough, but that is insanely close for a first map.
Yeah, what a ridiculous map. I mean, that is what we're expecting from these two teams. We are expecting some pretty close results. And, you know, we've already seen that on the first map coming in. But jumping into this next one, Hidden One, this is going to be an interesting one. We're going to see potentially a bit of a roster switch up. Some of the players coming in, dropping out.
Yeah, again, it's more of a... it's a more aim-focused pick, I think, than Nomod 3. Whereas Nomod 3 was the aim was a lot more. It was a lot more snappy, but fairly comfortable. This is going to be very much definitive jumps, big angles. The players have got to jump to, as well as that middle section that's been brought up a couple of times. That is a very big potential choke point for a lot of players, and we've seen it really make an impact on team scores. So it's something to watch out for. It comes up about just over halfway through the map. With some big sliders and interesting first break from Megamix to start this out.
And it seems like we actually have quite a big roster switch up for Japan here. We've got Invoker, Konkon, Kinikon, and Vento coming in, where the roster switch for Singapore is they're just bringing in Tebi. All three other players still sticking in for this one. Seeing quite a few early misses coming in from players. We've seen Vento, Invoker, Tebi all drop. Megimic has also broken combo very, very early on with this map, but I mean, it's still early days, you know.
Yeah, it's adjustment. Which is it's a bit more surprising seeing the breaks from Japan, considering they had a big roster switch up there, especially with Konkon Kinikon finding a break there. But yeah, Singapore starting off well, having the break from Tebi does put them back a little bit, but the break from Megamic has almost been completely nullified now. So Singapore, they are in the stronger position. But again, there is still quite a bit of this map to go, so plenty of time. But Evoker finding another break. Really not putting them in the best spot now.
Yeah, there's quite a few awkward snaps in this map. I mean, you've got like the little like small distance between the sliders. There's like a note in between a lot of the time. That kind of stuff on Pidden can be pretty tricky, especially when the sliders are so fast as well. But you know, you've seen quite a few more breaks coming in from Japan as well. Tokyo and Invoker dropping once again. Konkon Kinokon finding a break. And things are not looking good for Japan right now. They've only got Vento holding on. But Eagle is once again just accelerating with the Monocle. Megamic as well. Tebi finding a couple breaks here and there, but I don't think it's going to be enough at this point. We are past the halfway point and there's still 3 really strong combos from the side of Singapore.
Yeah, and again, we're through the really tricky section, that middle section with all those fast sliders. It's caught out. Who's going to caught out? Megamic with a surprising drop, though. But it's still 2 big combos with Eagle and Demonical, as a double break from Japan really sets them even further behind. But again, Eagle does find a drop, though, so no FC for him, but Demonical's still holding on. There is just no way for Japan, I don't think, to make up this massive score gap in the last quarter of this map.
Yeah, Demonical putting in the work that is needed to be done right now. As much as Vento and Invoker have 2 really high combos going for them, I don't think it's going to be enough as we are past the 3/4 point.
Played from Tebi there at the end, but it will not matter. As, again, so many people hitting this accelerating stream at the end. It's a really tricky pattern to hit consistently. But it only seems to be tipping at one player, and Demonical will not bring home the FC. Gets tripped up right at the end. How unfortunate.
Yeah, unfortunately no FC for Demonical there, but still a very, very solid performance nonetheless. Bringing in enough score in to help pull Singapore over the line. You know, Eagle also there with that high 959 combo. Vento at the end was just going wild though. Getting 11-8-4. Pretty impressive stuff from both sides. I mean, once again, we saw this was quite close, considering, you know, how things started out. Things were not looking too good for Japan as they had quite a few breaks early on, but they managed to pull it back a little bit with those combos that they had going and a few chain misses from Singapore.
Yeah, they definitely had the potential on that one, but again, it slipped away from them. But no matter, they've got plenty of time to flip this with their next pick. Hopefully something a bit stronger for them than that Nomad. I'm trying to think of how they maybe want to approach this. I definitely think that, yeah, I expected them to go the Hard Rock route. The Hard Rock was probably their strongest area, consistency-wise, in the qualifiers. They are overall, over the 2 runs, more consistent than Singapore on this. But again, it's a bit of a different map than what you'd expect normally from a Hard Rock one. It's, as you can probably hear, it's definitely not the sort of aim traditional consistency map that you've come to expect from Hard Rock 1. It's a lot more streamy with a bit of tech mixed in. It's definitely going to be testing more skill sets than what you'd expect from the qualifiers pool. So definitely expect to see some different rosters than what we saw in the qualifiers, but also you're looking at those sort of consistent players who are good at multiple skill sets to come in and really try and carry this map.
Absolutely. Yeah, when it comes to this map, it's a streamy tech, like very, very light tech, but there is some of it there, and especially on a Hard Rock map, this is gonna be a tough one to act. Especially, I think there's a middle section that has 1/3 in it as well. So, you know, accuracy could be a pretty big factor in this one. You might see that actually be a big difference maker. Maybe there might be a player or two who's not too confident on a map like that. Because when it comes to Hard Rock, like, you can still be really, really solid when it comes to Hard Rock as a whole, but when it comes to certain aspects of Hard Rock, when you introduce things like, you know, tech and sliders and, you know, 1/3 and rhythms and whatnot, that kind of stuff can be a little bit more tricky. So it's going to be interesting to see how this one does play out, as you mentioned, with it being a little bit of a different map from what we usually see. but finding an early break from Vento and GS Blank, Invoker as well. This one is looking pretty tough at the beginning, as you can see. It just gets right into it.
There's no build-up or adjustment to the approach rate. You've just got to hit it and hit it fast. That's why roster change can actually prove beneficial, because you can drop out and just test the approach rate and get comfortable with it. But a lot of breaks coming in from both sides, but it does appear that Singapore do hold a slight advantage with combo. A break there from Teachy. They're really going to set back Japan, as that was their big combo that they had, their FC. And now Megamick and Demonical hold the stage really with their big combos right now.
Yeah, and as mentioned, accuracy is definitely going to be a huge determining factor here. We do see the 1/3 section coming in, bringing a few 100s from some players, and accuracy is just all across the board. Like, we're seeing all sorts of different accuracy drops and things like that, chain misses going on. This is quite a tough map overall, and I mean, overall, like, the players are doing their best to hold on, but we're seeing chain misses everywhere. We're seeing high combos drop. Megamick drops a combo. Invoker is pretty much the only high combo for Japan at this point, but it is actually swinging back in their favor, as you've got Teachy and Konkon Kinokon also bringing in some supporting combos. Demonical is still holding on, needs to hold on as long as possible. It's pretty much Demonical versus Invoker at this point. Who is going to hold on longer? The lead is going back to Japan. They're just holding on through this. We're seeing chain misses everywhere from Singapore.
Yeah, they just can't hold on to what they need to, despite the epic run from Demonical. Vento will find a break, but it's just too little too late, I think, for Singapore to really do anything about it. They needed Invoker to break to hold on to this lead, and it didn't come for them when they needed it. So Japan picking solid here. Great recovery from players like Teachy, and I think Invoker as well. I'm fairly sure Invoker was an early break in that match, but had a fantastic recovery. There it is, the one miss. Fantastic recovery. Beautiful FC though from Demonical. Can't understate that. On that map, that is very tricky to pull off consistently.
Yeah, that map was pretty brutal. As mentioned, the accuracy definitely a lot harder than your regular hard rock. Some of these would, like hard rock ones, that would usually be aim typically. Would often see 98, 99 kind of thing. This one is like throwing accuracy all over the place, and in a match like this, like when things are pretty close in terms of combos and who holds on and whatnot, accuracy can be a pretty big determining factor here.
Yeah, you could definitely see that 200k. A majority of it coming from the accuracy of the players, and again, you had players like Dawnwing who just struggled a little bit too much. Had good combo, but again, the accuracy was actually put them behind GS Blank, who had about 100 combo less throughout that map. So you can, by looking at that comparison, you can definitely see how big of a factor it can potentially play. This is interesting from Singapore, though, with the free mod 1.
Yeah, this is an interesting choice. I mean, obviously, this map is pretty tough in terms of like some of the perfect stacking I think I've seen in Hidden specifically, but when it comes to this map, you just have all sorts of like square patterns and whatnot going on. There's like a little bit of slider aim and just things like that, but it might not be a bad choice, because obviously Singapore performed really well in Hidden just before, but then Japan obviously just took that hard rock away. So this one, I think when it comes to this, it is very hard to pick for these two teams, because at the end of the day, it's like a lot of it is kind of just a coin flip in some situations. They've got very solid lineups for both types of things. Their no mod is fairly evenly matched. Obviously, we just saw Japan take the hard rock and Singapore take the hidden, so it's it's very back and forth in this one, and that's to be expected when you've got two middle seed teams coming up against each other.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's very sort of, it literally will come down to who has the better play. Is it the hidden players or is it the hard rock players? Both of them they've got that sort of one standout hidden and hard rock player specifically. I'm looking at like Eagle, for example, on hidden, or for Singapore, or of course, someone like Vento, to really stand out for Japan on this one. Those are the sorts of players I'd look to for their strong performances. But looking at these free mods, both teams opting for 3 players to take mods and have 1 no mod player.
Yeah, that was actually something I was quite curious about as to whether or not we'd see some sort of overmodding coming in, because usually on some of the early free mod picks you actually do see that kind of thing. It's very common to see people going for more mods on more players where possible, and obviously Japan here has opted for 2 hidden hard rock, and we're seeing 2 hard rock coming in from Singapore as well, with the 1 hidden from both sides. So things are pretty evenly balanced. You know, the difference is that Japan does have the mod advantage when it comes to having 2 hiddens added onto their hard rocks. But we are seeing that actually backfire a little bit, as Teachy and Vento have both been the 2 to break here. Could it be that the hidden hard rock might be a little bit too much? Or is it just an unfortunate coincidence?
Yeah, it's hard to narrow it down to a single factor on this one. GS Blank will get caught though, so it's not just Japan who's struggling with this one. But Teachy will pretty much trade it up, if not a worse trade for Japan, from the break from GS Blank. But Vento starting to get back up there, but Dectopia again is going to set them back. In a pretty brutal place to drop.
Yeah, having all of your modded players drop is not the best thing to have happen right now, especially since they're the ones that have the score multipliers as well. Invoker is holding on, but the Monaco and Eagle, as well as Megimic, are all matching that. So you're going to need to see some breaks from Singapore in order for any comeback from Japan at this point. Vento has made quite a recovery from the beginning. GS Blank does actually find yet another break. Teachy as well though, matching that. Singapore still holding on to their full combos, but Megimic does actually find a break on that flow section there.
So if you look at the combos, you look at Dectopia and Vento, they kind of build up a 900, sort of 1,000 combo between them. So that is going to sort of level things out mostly. But again, it's not an advantage. They need an advantage to pull this score back. They're about 400k down. Megamic will find a break though, so it gives them a little bit of breathing room, but not a lot. They need to see one of these big combos go to start pulling back score. But again, it's Demonical and Eagle. These 2 players have been playing really well today, but there goes Eagle though. But there can't be enough time, surely.
That is a very big combo drop at the end, but Vento also finding a break as well. I mean, the one thing that is also really impressive from the Singapore side is that they do have almost all players on 99%. If the Monaco pulls it back up just over at the end here, yeah. Oh my goodness, that stream though did claim a little bit of accuracy there. Invoker does find a break at the end, but yeah. Singapore was holding on to 99% for quite some time, whereas we did see Japan have a little bit of an accuracy difference there. So, but I mean, despite having those extra combos, you know, they were pulling it back a little bit right when they needed it, but Eagle was able to hold on just as long as Singapore needed, and they were able to take away their pick. Once again, what do we go for here though is the next question. Where does Japan go?
Yeah, that's the thing. They're going to need a new plan, or well, another map really, because obviously they've managed to win one of their picks thus far. It was their last one in that hard rock. Did they stay on the hard rock perhaps? I'm really not sure. Thing is with that hard rock too, it's very much a precision map with a lot of focus on the aim elements of it, which makes it very tricky to consistently pull up good scores on. And I'm looking at the Japanese roster and I'm not sure whether I see the consistency needed, especially on their qualifier results, to necessarily pull that up. So they're gonna try out with no mod 1.
Yeah, this could be a solid pick overall. I mean, at the end of the day, no mod 1's usually a pretty staple pick whenever you're feeling confident. I mean, if you've got confident aim players, it's never a bad shout. I feel like this is, you know, it had to be something like this, or maybe the Hard Rock 2, as you mentioned before.
Yeah, I think I'm still leaning towards Singapore. potentially putting up a better score on this. I mean, they've still got Demonical, who is playing really well. Megumik has also got the very high potential to pull in some big scores on this. I mean, this is a big drop from what we saw in qualifiers. That's probably the biggest difference. This is a lot more of a conventional Nomad 1 than we saw in qualifiers. Qualifiers was very unconventional and a bit inconsistent for players to pull home FCs on because of the many different elements that were in that actual map. So perhaps the qualifier scores aren't the best thing to go off for a map like this, and yeah, it could come down to individual breaks here.
Yeah, it is going to be interesting to see how players do fare on this one, though. I mean, for the most part, this is pretty comfortable aim. There are some uncomfortable sections. I mean, obviously, as you get later into the map as well, you've got like a few of those like pause, snappy sections and whatnot, but yeah, this is pretty much just going to be a test of, you know, how well you perform on comfortable into uncomfortable jumps. I think at this point, you know, a lot of these players are pretty much used to this type of map. You know, aim is a pretty important skill set in this game overall, and you know, you need it for basically everything. So the main thing here is just going to be like random misses potentially, which can be something that is not a bad idea when it comes to picking. Like, you know, going for that, you know, hold on strong kind of thing. Just hope the other player misses, you know.
Yeah, I think it's with this map. It's going to be, you know, how the consistency. GS blank though with the first break. That surprises me. I was not expecting to see a break quite this soon. I was expecting the consistency to really be tested in the last quarter of this map to really decide it, but that opens things up for Japan. If they can take advantage, they could you know, lay down the groundwork for a potential late miss and still hold the point. As we get halfway through this map, there really isn't much to talk about, apart from the accuracies really, which are much higher on Singapore. Victopia in particular struggling, but Tebby and Demonical are going to be finding misses here.
Oh yeah, that part of the sliders right there just caught a few of them off guard. GS Blank also finding yet another miss as well, and that's not looking good for Singapore right now. They've dropped 3 combos, and it's 4 full combos for Japan at the moment. And we're pretty much just past the halfway point, so Japan is pretty much feeling comfy right now. You know, they're feeling good. This is looking like a very, very solid pick from them after all. Megumik also finding a break as well, so I think it's pretty much all said and done at this point. You know, you're at the halfway point on a Nomad 1 when, you know, the Japanese side has all 4 combos being above 1,000. I don't really believe there's going to be any chance for Singapore to really pull this one back, but maybe miracles could happen.
No, this one is going to really hurt. Yeah, I mean, Japan are just looking for the 4-way FC at this point.
Come on, Marsh, you got to give them something to believe.
I mean, I would if there was something to bite on, but they had such bad, unfortunate breaks at the same time, and another break from Tebby and Megumik. I mean, what can you say? Just incredible stuff from Japan right when they needed it. They respond with a fantastic, hopefully a 4-way. I'm praying for it on this, but never mind. No, I don't know why I bother. Victopia will find a break alongside Concon. Yeah, why? Just
classic commentator curse, you know. But I mean, after all, like this is a very, very solid performance from Japan as a whole. You know, they managed to get to the 1.4k combo mark with all players, and still got Tichi and LaPlus holding on as well. Demonical managed to make a bit of a recovery going on there, but you're just seeing chain misses happening all over the place from Singapore.
Yeah, I think it was just too comfy for Singapore. They actually probably threw them off. You know, there's no real demanding elements to this map. It's just consistency on the jumps.
That is actually I was just going to say, sorry, that is actually something that we've been seeing throughout this entire match. Like, we've been seeing that, they've been playing all sorts of different types of maps, just going from one polar opposite to another, pretty much, like going from hidden to hard rock. You had like the early alt map as well. It's just been all sorts of different types of aim and styles, which is good in a pool, but they're just going straight for the polar opposites pretty much.
Yeah, they really are, and now it's time for Singapore to see if they've see what they've got left in the tank, really. As we are into the sort of later half of the pool, the picks they starting to become a bit more of sort of toss-up maps that you can't guarantee, but so far Singapore have made good decisions on their map picks that I've seen them through, but trying to sort of I'm probably just overthinking this in terms of what they're going to pick next, but
I have a feeling that maybe they dive into DT1, maybe? It might not be a bad shout to sort of... I mean, obviously they've been mixing it up this entire match so far, so maybe going for something like either DT1 or Free Mod 2, maybe try out a little bit of the speed side of things.
Potentially. Although I do fancy them, I think, a bit on No Mod 4, potentially. A bit of a switch up. I mean, you're right, carry on.
Yeah, I mean, they're going for the DT1, and based on the qualifying results, I'm not quite sure if the qualifying map was similar to this one or not, but the Singapore side had a pretty solid performance on that one overall, so they're confident in their DT. I'd say both of these rosters are very confident in their DT. So as you mentioned, it is a very, very toss-up pick. It could be very coin flippy when it comes to a lot of the next maps that are bound to be picked here in this match. But Singapore are here to say, yep, we want to pick this, we want to try it out, and we're feeling good. And they're going to bounce back from that No Mod 1 and try it out with the DT one. Do it a little bit faster this time around.
Yeah, I definitely think it's something that they can definitely win for sure. But I mean, the potential as well has to be said for Japan. If they are able to break back here, it opens up so many potential picks in terms of DT and the speed orientated maps of this pool. I mean, I guess it is a bit more aim focused, so it doesn't necessarily open up the rest of DT. But I mean, it does have the potential to put Singapore on the back foot here if they can beat them on this. But again, both sides, I have to say, will have very solid DT lineups. You're expecting sort of like multiple FCs of players on both sides, but it's going to come down to individual breaks and just who's not quite performing today. And that's why I'm probably going to pick Singapore to win this. I think Japan are just showing a little bit more weakness at the moment. But I'd love to be wrong. I would love to be wrong.
Yeah, I would say there's definitely potential on both sides, absolutely. And on a map like this, it's pretty straightforward. It's not too tricky. We did see Japan perform really well on the previous map, which was obviously a slower version of what this is essentially. This is just a pretty comfortable aim. You've got a couple of triples and a few quints as well in my 270 BPM first map, or aim map rather. But overall, the players should be capable of getting through this one pretty comfortably. This is on the higher end when it comes to BPM, so aim is going to be a lot faster. And you also do need to be aware of those triples and quints that do pop up. I think the quint section is towards the end as well, so that could be something that might be a big determining factor if you're ready for it or not.
Yeah, so it's after a little bit of delay there, we're finally ready to get into this DT1. Bit of an unknown, really, on how this one's going to go. Again, both teams got very solid lineups for this. Yama Darkness, though, I think making first appearance in this match.
Yeah, this is one thing that we definitely expect them to be in on for sure. Known for their DT expertise. Early breaks coming in from Megamic and Dawnwing. This one, it's still early days, but I mean, this is a short map after all, you know, 2 minutes is... You don't really want to be seeing breaks around the 200 combo point.
Yeah, it's a good sign early on for Japan, but again, expecting very high combos, scores, everything across the board, but L4 +1. I butchered their name, didn't I? It's not L4 +1, is it? It's pronounced Laplace, isn't it?
Yeah, I believe it's been mentioned to us that it's been pronounced like Laplace, but either way. You know, we just read what we see on the screen, right? No, we're just
exactly.
Yeah, that break is pretty late into this map, which could actually be enough to swing this back in Singapore's favor, and we are seeing that go back in their favor right now. Yama Darkness actually finding a break as well. So Dawnwing actually responding there, but they're still holding on to their 3-4 combos against just Teachy at the moment. Vento did find a break as well, so at the moment Singapore still holding on to 2 full combos with Megamic having that one early miss at the beginning. But this is them pretty much just going to be running away as we get up to the 3/4 section. All players pretty much getting through that burst section relatively fine. Maybe a few act drops here and there.
Yeah, I definitely think that it's going to be hard for Singapore to drop this one at the end. With how short this map is. Eagle will find the drop though, but Vento's going to be able to trade it up. It's not even an even trade at that point, but there's no room for Japan to pull it back, so unfortunately Singapore will be holding on to this point and putting themselves in a very strong position here.
TG doing everything that they could for the Japanese side, but the Monaco and Megamic are just going to be running away with that one. Looking pretty confident on their pick, but I mean, at the end of the day, that was still a very solid performance from Japan as well. This is something that we do expect, you know, when it comes to these types of maps. Like, we expect these relatively close results. And, you know, a few of those misses towards the end were not so great for Japan. And that is pretty much the difference maker. Things looked pretty grim for Singapore at the beginning. You know, they had a couple of misses. It might have looked like they weren't feeling too confident, but, you know, that could just be adjustment things.
Yeah, and again, adjustment's very important because, like you said, when you expect these close results and big scores from players, early breaks can actually make the difference. But of course, that didn't happen this time, but it definitely does happen. I could say that for a fact. So early breaks can make all the difference. But yeah, Japan, they've got to pick clever here. Can't afford really any mistake. I'm still looking at that hard rock or potentially that no mod for them, but they're going to go to free mod, I think.
Yeah, free mod can definitely be a pretty good shout here. I mean, at the end of the day, it's a lot of these maps are going to be trial and error, and it's not a bad idea to explore free mod, but this one is a very, very wild one. I feel like the modded players are just always going to have such a tough time on a map like this. I would be very surprised if we see some overmodding coming in from either of these sides.
Yeah, it was a trend I think we saw in the I think it was France, New Zealand that this was played as well, and there was no overmodding, bare minimum mods from both teams. So I would be very surprised to see any form of overmodding, which is weird because it's a map that I think definitely could be overmodded, but it has to be by the right team, I think, and I'm not sure that either of these teams want to take that risk this late in.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this map is pretty brutal in terms of some of the things that it has to offer. You've got just like a lot of flow aim, some awkward, like, wiggly, you know, streams and bursts and whatnot. This type of thing, I don't know. If you're not confident in this style of map, you're definitely not going to want opt for a mod on this one, but we do actually seeing a few people. We see the Singapore side opting for 2 hidden here. Demonical going for hidden hard rock, Teachy going for hidden hard rock, and Dectopia opting for hidden. So no overmod from Japan, besides the extra hidden from Teachy, and 1 extra hidden for the side of Singapore.
Yeah, interesting. I think Singapore, they do have the wiggle room that they can take the chance with the overmod. Again, it does put pressure on the Japanese side because of the multiplier. They can't win on just all FCs alone, but Eagle will find the first break though, so it should eventually flip their way, but not straight away.
So far we've had an early break from Eagle, and Demonical also following up with one on the 300 combo point. Eagle finds yet another break as well. Having a little bit of trouble on that hidden for this one.
Yeah, I mean, I saw it in the France-New Zealand match. You know, players have the potential to really pop off on the hidden, or they can just have an absolutely awful time trying to build combo on a map like this. And again, not very long. Really is starting to get to these shorter maps where every break counts. And Japan holding a good lead here with a double break from Yellow, Eagle, and Demonical's going to join them to leave Megamic out on their own. Teachy did have a break though, but I mean, it's still 3 FCs for Japan.
Yeah, some of these stream sections on this map can be pretty brutal and hidden, and we're seeing that be the case right now for Singapore. This is definitely looking like a really solid pick from Japan. I mean, they are just running away with this lead right now. Pretty much 3-4 combos. I think Invoker had a very, very early miss as a adjustment thing, maybe. But seeing a couple of breaks and just random spots happen from the Singapore side, not too great right now. You've got Megamic still doing work, but Dectopia, Concon, Finicon, and Invoker are just holding way too much in order for any form of comeback. And that is a strong performance from Japan. That is a nice pick for them to have as a backup there, because that is a very solid score. 3.4 million across the board.
It's a very good performance, especially considering they didn't actually have, I don't think, any technical FCs. Although, you know, those breaks came very late on or very early on, as in the case with, you know, Invoker having the early break in Dectopia and Concon breaking right at the end. But I mean, you know, it's one of those things that I think, regardless of how you look at it, that is a ridiculous overall team score, very high from every player on the Japanese side, and it was good to play it safe. They made the right call, not trying to match Singapore.
Yeah, definitely a great pick from them. Now the question is, where do we see Singapore go? Because, I mean, it is very possible that you might be right in regards to that No Mod 4 pick. I think that's something that they are definitely looking at and considering. It's hard to say. I think the Air 8 hidden is out of the question, maybe. I feel like that one is probably a little bit too big of a risk.
Yeah,
But
considering
we're not-
how Japan played, I wouldn't trust myself on that.
And here we go, we're seeing them go for that No Mod 4, as you mentioned before. I think this is a very, very solid backup pick for them.
Yeah, it really kind of pushes the difficulty way up. I believe it's one of the harder maps in this pool. It definitely has, you know, a lot of miss potential throughout the map. It hits you hard, it hits you fast. With a lot of the second half in particular, I've noticed with a lot of these fast sliders to really push up that miss potential. So this will be tricky, and I'll definitely look to the star players to really try and carry players, or well, carry the team through to victory, regardless of which team you look at.
Yeah, with that, we're probably expecting yet another close result between these two teams. With that said, you know, we've just been going so back and forth between all types of picks here. I think the closest contrast we've had is like the No Mod 1 to DT1, except it being just, you know, a bit faster aim. But this one here This is quite tricky, you know, you've got a lot of accelerator things going on. You've still got that flow aim aspect as we saw in the last map, but this is definitely one of those maps which is on the harder side in terms of just the speed aim with the sliders. And you've also got the good old fun sliders later on throughout the map as well, which you might see a few people have a bit of a trip up on those, but we'll see.
Yeah, for sure. And this could be it. Singapore with the pick in hand to close it out here. If not, we go to the promised land, to no man's land, neutral territory. But again, Singapore hoping to not make that the case. But again, Japan will want that case. So let's see who has the better run as this map really kicks in fast. Eagle and Megamit will find the early breaks. Not detrimental, but Tebi also finding a break that is going to give Japan a massive head start as they adjust really well to this map.
Yeah, Japan looking very strong. We're seeing a couple of breaks from Singapore so far. I believe that was an error on Megamic's miss. But yeah, a few early breaks from Tebi, Eagle as well. So far, Japan holding on strong. And one thing I wanted to mention as well that's important about this is that, you know, if you get to this 500 combo point, you actually have a little bit of free combo to work with as well. So that's really, really important here. Aotaline did find a break, but so far, most people getting up to the free combo point. Japan holding on to 3 full combos as well. This is huge for them. This is about 150 free combo potentially.
It's just Megamic and Eagle who had the nice recovery. Demonical did have that break, so about halfway through. So definitely looking for a massive change up in this last quarter of this map. Again, we've got some of those speedy sliders that are going to come in and potentially find any misses, but I guess everyone is going to be hyper focused on this. It's still winnable, I think, for Singapore at this stage, but that break from Demonical is going to hurt really bad.
Yeah, that is a very brutal break, but we do have the fun sliders coming up right now. Are we going to see some of the players miss on this?
It's going to have to be a big reset from Japan for Singapore to take this. There goes Vento, that's one. But they probably need all of them to go at this stage, and Demonical's going to be finding the reset instead. Ataline drops, that's 2.
Tebi also responding as well. Megamic finding that break. This is pretty much going all in Japan's favor. Eagle is the final combo to drop for Singapore. Pretty much all combos have dropped on the fun sliders. Pretty much to no surprise maybe, but that is Japan taking that one away, and we are going to be seeing a tiebreaker between these two teams. Are you surprised, Dimash? Because honestly, I'm not.
No. I mean, on paper, no. You don't... I'm surprised that the breakpoint happened so late. But I mean, it is the time to happen. But Japan, with the incredible comeback... no, I'm not really surprised that this has gone to tiebreaker. On paper, they were the closest team. And... yeah, I think we should just get into the explanation of the tiebreaker. If you want to take it away.
When it comes to this map, it pretty much does everything that a tiebreaker needs to do. You know, it's consistent. It offers a wide variety of things, and you know, you've got that aim element. You've got a couple of bursts here and there. This overall is just a very, very solid and balanced pick, and I think it's really hard to say which way this one could go. Like, I wouldn't say that this plays very much like No Model 1, but there obviously is aim element to it. It is one of the higher star ratings, but also on 200 BPM, so that is something. I'm honestly not sure. Like, this is just one of those things. We've seen how close it's been throughout this entire match. You know, things have been very back and forth. There's been a couple of close maps. There's been a few that have gone one way, but a lot of those maps are more the more niche skill sets that you sort of see it go one way. It's very hard to say. What are your thoughts, Dimash?
Well, I mean, I'm looking at this map. It's very high BPM, which I think is going to favour if there's any sort of lengthy streams, but I think there are a couple from my recollection. Might trip up the Japanese players slightly more. I think the Singapore team will be a bit more adjusted to it. But again, it's the consistency that is really going to be tested on this one. And I think Japan has been shown to be slightly more consistent on these sort of aim focus maps, or the aim elements, I would say. And again, with that tech, I think mechanically Japan might have the edge on this one. But it really comes down to what players get tripped up on. Is it the high BPM, or is it the mechanical skill that trips players up?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we're seeing a couple of an early miss coming in from Kinikon, just maybe adjusting to that early section there. But the one thing that is worth mentioning is that obviously Japan was down 4-2. They are kind of riding high at the moment. Are they going to be able to carry that into this one? You've had Singapore lose the last 2 points, and they've been beaten down a little bit. But is that going to be enough to bring them back into that? Are they on a map like this as well? It's so hard to say. Like, Japan is riding a high, but is it too much of a high? Is it going to be something that backfires? This map isn't quite your most conventional, it's not exactly aim. You're seeing a lot of weird, awkward burst patterns, some rhythmic sections and whatnot. So there's a lot of things that can definitely trip up either side here, for sure.
A lot of factors coming into play. But again, we see... So we saw LaPlus1 have the break there. And then GS Blank broke straight after. So with the recovery from Konkon, Invoker and Seal will have a bit of a trade up. GS Blank will find another reset. That is going to favour Japan, actually, though. Ever so slightly, they will begin to pull score back their way, as accuracies here are very similar between the two teams.
Although we did see a miss from Invoker as well, though, so it looks like this will actually go back in favour of Singapore. Oh wait, I didn't see the seal miss, my mistake.
No worries, no worries. It keeps things exciting, it's keeping it close, as Japan will continue to pull back that score. Seal with another break. LaPlus will find a reset, though. That is going to slow down the Japanese side. And actually, looking at this is... Oh my
goodness,
dear.
this is so unbelievably close. Oh, but Tebi dropping as well, though. Tichi holding on. Oh my goodness, all combos have been reset for Singapore. I was going to say this is definitely looking very close in terms of the misses that they're trading right now with the Monaco and Kinikon dropping, but Tichi as well, also finding a break. This is pretty much all players reset. Invoker and LaPlus still holding on. So things are going to be going in Japan's favor, but we're seeing resets happen all over the board at the moment. This is intense, man. When it comes to tiebreakers, you've got such a long map, and not only that, but this is just such an intense map in terms of what it offers. These parts are tripping these players up just enough. And this is a slightly harder map from what we've seen so far in the pool as well. Being on the higher side of the star rating, always designed to break the tie.
It really just sets the standard of who should go through and who should drop down. But the Invoker is holding the line. They have a good buffer, Japan, now. That isn't going to be easy to chase from the Singapore side. They need to hold on to all these combos. They can't see another break here. The advantage is if the Invoker was to drop, Singapore would start to pull combo back, and there's a triple reset for Japan as Tebi and Seal also find resets, but it's Demonical and GS Blank who have got combo. Kinikon's going to try and hold on to it, but it's not going to be enough. You can see the scorebar starting to pull over now. All Singapore need to do is just hold on here. They can do this. They can pull this score back. They just need a little bit more to pull it over. 30,000 points. And it's getting smaller, 20,000 points. Very little map.
This is so unbelievably tense at the moment. I mean, you've got this is the most important part for players to be holding on to combo right now. It's still really, really close. It's only just slightly going back in their favor, and this is even despite them holding on to these two really high combos. You've got Concon, Kinokon, Invoker, and Laplace still bringing up and building something, but they're only just holding on that little bit. They need Demonical or GS Blank to drop in order for them to hold on to this one, but it is going back in Singapore's favor at the moment. Concon, Kinokon with the drop, GS Blank with the drop as well.
Oh,
this is
boy.
huge.
This is massive. You've got 3 supporting combos versus a massive combo. Seal will find a drop, but I think they do. They still hold on to it. Singapore with that demonical big combo. It's not even an FC, but it's enough. That is ridiculous. Wow. What a match.
That was unbelievably back and forth. I mean, those players throughout that tiebreaker were just trading misses pretty much all at the exact same time. You had TG being the last one to hold on for just that little bit longer, but then also trading the miss. I mean, that was ridiculous. We saw how close that was. And just having it go back and forth between them, right at the very end, you had like a couple of players holding on. You had Demonical holding on against, Laplace and Invoker at the very end there as well. What a match. Unbelievable. Singapore taking that one away though. Very solid fight from both of these teams. What a match. For round of 32, what a match, Dimash.
Yeah, that really shows the standard of what it means to have 2 seeds right next to each other in the bracket stage. Anything can happen, and that gets about as close as it can get. Both teams did extraordinarily well, and Japan, unfortunately, right at the end, they just couldn't ride that momentum high that they had brought the match back from. So they will drop down to the losers bracket as Singapore continue on. But again, they will be up against a very tough opponent next week, so definitely something to look forward to. But as of right now, we have a bit of a very short break. Well, I say very short. It's a break. No doubt about that. Of about an hour. And OWC will return. We have the number 1 seed, the United States, up against Israel in what should be a very impressive display of skill. So I definitely wouldn't want to go away for that one.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we've just gone from this match, which was a 25k difference. And it's going to be interesting to see what happens in the future matches to come. Obviously, we've got a few more to go as well to cast later on the match, which I'm really, really looking forward to. But yeah, we will be returning in about an hour.
Well, it's 2 hours, isn't it? It's 17 UTC, isn't it? So it's going to be 2 hours.
Yeah.
Probably should make that clear. It's going to be a 2-hour break. We will be back at 17 UTC for the United States versus Israel, followed directly by Canada versus Chile. So definitely would tune in for both of those matches. But once again, thank you, Kano, for joining me. It's always a pleasure to cast with you.
As always, Dimash. Thanks for watching, guys.
We'll see you again very soon.